Phillips. We're back here inside with the Countach. We went ahead and modified these exhaust pipes from our last video. This is actually the part 2 from the exhaust system video that we did. So these have been done. We couldn't, I shouldn't put one down. We couldn't find the correct angle to purchase, so what I did is I went ahead and I took some existing piping and then got an attachment and pretty much cut it to the right angle and then welded it all together to make that piece. Then we went ahead and coated both pieces. So they're coated now with a rust reformer to seal everything, and you still have the stainless steel tips coming out. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut parts of the trunk out to make room for these to come through from the existing exhaust. Well, first we're going to cut off the parts of exhaust that were put on that were modified from the previous owner, get all that cut out parts of the trunk, go ahead and attach this, cut them down, weld them, put the heat shield back together, and then at a later date we're going to go ahead and rebuild the trunk around these and then seal all that and recarpet all that. So we have a lot to do today with the metal, with cutting and welding and all that. So we're going to go ahead in the back, take the heat shield off so we can get to the trunk and cut out what's been marked. So let's head back there and let's get started. Here's a view of the trunk from the inside. Everything's stripped down. Obviously you can see it's very dirty. We haven't done anything with this yet. So you can see where we went through with a hole saw before and made our markings down there, right across here, and there's 2 down there. So we're going to go ahead and just pretty much cut that out, coming all the way over to here, where the pipes will then run through here, and then we'll just rebuild and weld around that to finish off the trunk. Because you've got the sides of the trunks there, right here and here, this part here, which is obviously staying put, and then this will all be carpeted later. So that's what we're going to be cutting out to make a path pretty much right here for the piping to come through. So let's go ahead and get cutting with that. I have a metal blade, metal cutting blade on a jigsaw that I'm going to use to just hack that out. Heat shield has been removed, everything's set off there. And then here's the trunk. Bottom part of the trunk exposed now, so we can go ahead and start cutting. All right, there you can see it. The first cut has been made. This is on the passenger side. So there's all the exhaust piping there. Next, what we're going to do is go ahead and cut that, weld our new exhaust pieces into that, and then, as mentioned before, then we'll go ahead and we'll seal off the trunk at a later date. Let's go ahead and take a look on the inside now. Okay, there it is right there. So the piping then will then run through here to the exhaust tips going out, and then we'll go ahead and weld, kind of rebuild this inside and weld it so that way it'll all be sealed, and then we can carpet over it once we're done. And then we still have here on this side here, that one's next. So let's get to it. Cut out the driver's side as well. So now we've got the 2 openings here coming through the trunk. You can see part of the piping right there. Let's go underneath and I'll show you more. This is on the driver's side. You can see coming out of the exhaust right there. So we're going to be cutting this pipe right here and then tying into it coming out that way. And then here on the passenger side, we've got the same thing right there. And we'll be cutting right here as well and bringing it through here. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting all of that out of there so then we can prep it for welding. On the passenger side here, the old pipe has been cut off. So now we're going to go ahead and prep it, and that's where we'll be welding in the new exhaust pipes coming out to the new tips. So you can see there, that's inside the trunk, but there's our cutout here, so it'll be right here where everything will be running right out. Okay, when we cut this off here, this little standoff that separates this heat shield from the back part of the trunk was cut off in that section, so I'm going to go ahead and add it right here. Just
Go ahead and put the screw through here, and then we'll just hit it with a little bit of weld right there. Probably just use just a little bit of JB weld. It doesn't require an actual weld for that, just to get that in place so we still have that clearance that's needed. And obviously all this is going to be grinded down and recoated to get rid of all that surface rust. But go ahead and get that in place, and then we'll start working on connecting the pipes. First exhaust pipe is been connected. Those are the tips right there coming out. Right now I just have a JB weld compound holding the joint together, and that way I can then come back with the welding gun and go over it at that point. And then here on this side you can see went ahead and cut the pipe there, went ahead and put a exhaust pipe mount, went ahead and put a new one in there. See if we can go under there. You can take a look. See it right there, holding it in place. And then that one's getting ready. Then need to scrape off the surface rust and go ahead and connect that exhaust pipe as well coming through. And then I'll go ahead and just give it a coating, and then we should be wrapping up for this episode. Both of the exhaust pipes have been welded in with the tips coming through as they should have been to begin with. Now we're just going to let the welds cool down a little bit, and then we're going to go over it and just kind of put a little sealing coat of JB weld over that, and then we'll go ahead and recoat that as well with the rust reformer. Alright, heat shield has been put back on. And there you can see it now complete. You've got the heat shield, you've got the exhaust coming through. Here's all the scraps of what was removed from the car. You have here on this side, these are the old exhaust pipes that were coming out of the muffler system and wrapping around that the previous owner had put in there. We cut those off. This is some scraps right here that came off of what we had built. We knew that we were going to have to measure it and fit it here, so those are extra pieces. These were some of the clamps that had rusted on that had to be cut off. We replaced those. And then this is all the scrap metal that came off of the sides and back of the trunk that had to be cut out in order for the new exhaust system to run through there. We'll rebuild that before we carpet it, and all that'll look all nice and new when it's all said and done. Well, that wraps up a very long 12-hour day with all the cutting and welding that we had to do, but now the exhaust has been completely redone. Got rid of all the old stuff and took it back to the way it should be with the four tips coming through, 2 on each side. So that was probably our biggest challenge with working on this car. Next we'll be moving on to the fuel pump, and then the patch in the transmission line, and then also replacing the coolant hoses under the car, get it running, and then we'll start working on the body and the paint, and then wrap this thing up. We thank you for watching. Please tune in next time. Thank you for your support. Please like, subscribe, and as always, thank you. We'll see you next time.